first job after graduating from college was a contract food service company. She worked as a manager of a food service department in a retirement facility. The work was hard, the hours were long, and the pay was low. Still, Marianne gained a lot from that job. She learned a lot about people, work, aging, and what was important to her in her job. Marianne Boner, my wife never make it that way. My wife never make it that way, Marianne Boner.
It was my first real job after college. 2 months after graduating, I took a job in a retirement home as a food service man. Now, I hadn't planned on working in food service, but I needed a job. Of all the jobs I've had in my life, that one was definitely the hardest. It was an introduction to adulthood, and I had a lot to learn. I worked in 2 different retirement homes in Wilmington, Delaware, the town where I grew up. The job involved planning menus, ordering food and other supplies, and hiring, firing, training, and supervising employees. I had many challenges, but probably the biggest challenge was my own sense of insecurity. When I took the job, I was 21 years old, and I was supervising people that were many years older and had much more experience than I had. I felt like a fraud. I felt like a kid pretending to be an adult, and I was sure that I wasn't fooling anyone. The job had many challenges, and it was very stressful. I was responsible for feeding several hundred people 3 times a day. A myriad of things could and often did go wrong. The cook calling in sick, the dishwasher breaking down, a snowstorm, a power outage, a delivery not showing up. Any one of those things could turn my day upside down. I often felt like I was treading water, just trying to keep my head above the chaos. A good day was when nothing disastrous happened. The job was physically exhausting. I worked long hours, often 10 to 12 hours in a day, and I was always tired. And I often got sick. I got sick more often during those 4 years than I have since. I had many personnel problems to deal with. Food service work doesn't pay well, so it doesn't attract a high caliber of workers. To many of my employees, the concept of showing up for work on time, or at all, was a novel concept. I spent many hours washing pots, cooking, waiting on tables, loading the dishwasher, because the people that were supposed to be doing those jobs hadn't shown up. I also had a lot of conflicts between employees I had to deal with, and these are often petty things. A cook came to me one day and she complained that her co-workers were talking about her when she wasn't there. I felt like saying to her, "What, are you 6?" Probably the strangest thing I had to deal with was one day when I think she was a waitress, came to me in tears, and she said a co-worker was doing groups on her. I had no idea what she was talking about. But after a while, I figured out that this co-worker was using some kind of roots to do witchcraft, and it cast a hex on her. This woman was terrified. I don't remember how I resolved that one. The part of my job I disliked the most was schmoozing with the residents during mealtimes. I had to walk around the dining room and chat up the residents. Now, I'm an introvert, so this was really hard. And my boss kept telling me, "You need to be more outgoing. Push yourself to be outgoing." Well, that was easier said than done. The conversations I did have with the residents were often difficult. Now, many of these people had nothing to do all day but eat and sleep, so mealtime was the highlight of their day. And if something didn't please them, I heard about it. Comment I often heard was, "My wife never made it that way." These people also had very long memories about things they hadn't liked. I hear something like, "Well, you know, roast beef's good today, but those pork chops you served three months ago, well, they were tough as shoe leather." I soon learned not to ask, "How are you?" If I ask that question, I get a long list of all somebody's aches and pains. After working in food service for about 4 years, I decided I wanted to do something else. And I had figured out a few things. First, I needed a job that was mentally stimulating. Food service work was physically and emotionally exhausting, but it didn't require a lot of thought. I also wanted to go back to school. 4 years in an institutional kitchen had turned my brain to mush. It needed rejuvenation. And then thirdly, I decided that I really needed a job that was better suited to my personality. I wasn't an extrovert, and I was tired of trying to be one. I wanted a job where I could succeed just being myself. 4 years in a retirement home did teach me some things about aging and how I might improve my own life in my later years. After observing the residents, I concluded that happiness is more a state of mind than physical condition. Some of the happiest, most pleasant residents were in the worst physical condition, and vice versa. And finally, a 95-year-old resident once told me that life's challenges are easier to deal with if you have someone to share them with. I think she was very wise, and I've never forgotten that bit of advice.